How can the body of Christ be united in one purpose as a way of bringing the lost to Christ rather than pursuing vain things? See, there's a whole conversation about this, to be honest, and there's an entire idea that there has, and which is true to some extent, that there has been, which is actually true to some extent, some large extent. There have been some gatherings of believers and churches where the attention on Sundays is Jesus can increase you, Jesus can bless your bread and butter, increase you breadth and length, increase your oil, increase your food. Jesus came to make you rich. That's not true. Especially that Jesus came to make you rich. But can Jesus make you rich? Yes. We have examples of people who came into wealth because of Jesus. But Jesus did not come to make you rich. We have checked the reason why Jesus came to die. Why was a sacrifice even needed to start with? Why was the sacrifice even needed to start with? It's not because of anything, but because of sin. There was no need for Jesus to come, right? That could have been, how do I say it? There was a need for Jesus to come, and that need for God to become a man, and that need was something that could not have been achieved except he came. I'm threading this, so I would thread it so much to answer the question, right? The need that Jesus came to solve, that Jesus came to address, was not any other thing but the one that only his coming could have been able to solve. Because did God give people wealth before Jesus came? Yes. Solomon is a good example. Did God give people healing before Jesus came? Yes. The widow of Nun and her son was in Nun now. The widow in Israel that Elisha went to for her son is a good example. Did Jesus give, and for prophecy, the widow of Sharifat, right, that had debts that her husband left for her and her son, is a good example. Did God do many of those things? Yes, he did. That because God did those things before Jesus came, that could not have been the reason why Jesus came. It would have been redundant that Jesus had to come to do what God already was doing. I mean, imagine if God became a man to come and give you money that you will die and live on earth. Come on. So that idea that Jesus spoke about these things. Okay, I'll get there. Going to understand that the idea that our lives is supposed to consist of everything that God is and means for us is important for us to get and to know. Because our life, because I have a teaching that I've taught a number of times, right? That, and I ask people, I say to people, see, the reason we are alive is to give God glory, and it is true. Right, as I quoted earlier in answering a previous question, that he made all things are and were for his good pleasure. He chose to for his own glory, to enjoy. Are you with me now? God did those things for himself. For himself. Right. And so that is why we exist. We live in God's universe to give him glory. We live in God's universe to give him glory. So the purpose of our life is to know God and to make God known. That is why we are alive as believers. And see, that should be the focus of our lives. And that is why it is important that this is taught. Teaching, I think, is the solution, is how the body of Christ can be united. That see, there are teachings that are fueling the opposites, that are fueling people of fueling now. Actually, proper King's English. It is some teachings that are fueling the appetite of people to seek, say Jesus came to butter your bread and wine. It's not true. It is teachings that are increasing people's appetites in those regards to seeking vain things. But Jesus came on the scene, and Jesus was telling this young man that came to tell Jesus that, Jesus, Master, tell my brother to split the inheritance with me. Jesus said, what's my business? Why are you telling me this? But Jesus now went goes on to say that, see, take heed of covetousness, because the life of a man is not does not consist of the abundance of things that he possesses. The life of a man does not consist in the abundance of things that he possesses. It doesn't consist in the abundance of things. So Jesus came to tell us that, see, money, you are too small to be the center of your life. Money is too small to be the center of your life. You are too small to be the center of your own life. Jesus says that, see, this man, it is too small that you put your gaze on money, because Jesus, God, as I said, we live for his glory. So he is the one who is supposed to be the center of our lives. Come on, are you getting what I'm saying this evening? So God has made it so that he, and is the one that, is the one that who is only allowed to be self-centered. Because if any other being, if any other part of the creation is self-centered, it's the whole thing will self-destruct. The whole thing will collapse on itself. So God is the one, because he's the center of everything, who is supposed to be the center of everything. He's the one who is allowed to be self-centered, because him being self-centered benefits every other thing. So let me just go back to answering the question. God has granted that, we live for his glory, and our gaze should be that. And the way that that can be brought back to the places, because there are churches who are getting it right. There are assemblies of believers who are getting it absolutely right, as God is helping them. Right? The way that we can get it is that we come back to teaching. These things, as I said, these things are thoughts. These seeking vain things, people who are taught it, is an appetite that is what's the word? Is an appetite that is an appetite that is groomed, right? That is cultivated. It's an appetite that somebody cultivates, that they sprinkle fertilizer on and say grow. It's an appetite. And so the other way too is to teach the right thing, grow an appetite for the things that the heart of the Lord is beating for. That's how I believe we can be united in one purpose, in bringing the lost to Christ. Because then we'll now be able to see that our life does not consist in anything that material things can offer. The life that we live is to be lived for Christ, and he has commanded that, we live our lives in bringing the lost to Christ. So knowing that is how it, if it is emphasized enough, people will begin to look like what they hear. People will begin to become what they listen to. I hope that answers the question. I hope it does.